we break everything down, any product, if it can fit in someone's car, because we have people working for us at the markets, and they can take it back to the bakery. That's always ideal. But we basically just break everything down in the way that we found it, take all the papers off the sheet trays and all that stuff, and pack it away somewhere where our afternoon driver can just come scoop it all up. So it's not really that much to it. It's almost like if you like filmed us opening everything up and then just like collapsing it all down. It's kind of like that. We do have to check out with some markets at the end of the day. So every market's different. Some will charge you a flat fee for your booth. Other markets will do a percentage of your sales, and you just check out and pay them in cash or check at the end of the market. Those are really nice, because then you have, if you're a new baker, then you have like a low barrier to entry, and you're just basing it, off of your sales. But when you price your products, you have to think about that too, that's going to factor in to your margins. Straight up exhaustion, but in a good way, like at the end of a marathon. And especially in the beginnings when we were like not sleeping even, it was like you would come back, and I would joke with John, like I feel like I'm crashing, like it's like you're on this like adrenaline high, and then you come back home, and as soon as you sometimes you don't even make it to the shower, you just like pass out and you're gone for the rest of the day. It's like you don't even exist anymore. But it's a good feeling, like being at the market, being in community. Things are a little weird now with the pandemic. I feel like I don't know how to be, and I feel like other people don't know how to be sometimes, but everybody's kind of finding their way and back to connection. And that's what I really like about the markets. It's like the direct community connection. Just like John was talking about earlier, like we need more of this. Like I would love it to have like a farmer's market in every neighborhood, and then you really get to know your neighbors. And just before we left, there's a German woman that we became friends with over like our kids' gymnastics a while back. And she was saying how it's so funny here in America, like nobody talks to each other. If you have a problem with your neighbor, you call the city, you call the police, you don't go to your neighbor. Why? And I feel like if we had more of these type of community events, and especially more like even more localized events, that would really aid in kind of building the communities that we want to see, that we're fighting to see right now. We had a few people mention YouTube, that came out from YouTube, so thanks for coming out. That was pretty cool. Somebody came from Florida today, and then a couple other people that are local that decided, since John and I were going to be there, that they came out, so that was really nice, flattering. I'm glad that people are enjoying the YouTube and the content we're making. But yeah, this week has been so brutal. We had, I don't know if John talked about it, but we had some cooling issues in one of our walk-ins. It's been over 110 degrees every single day. And usually when that happens, we have like the afternoon sun like beating on to our AC units that we use to hook up with the pool bots that help us with our walk-ins. And one of them completely went out, basically. We were just like babysitting it all the time, and we were talking about it and how if this had happened a year ago with our reach-ins, we would have been doomed. But like, it's progress, we're not totally screwed for this time around, because we have some contingencies and redundancies in place that help us mitigate situations like this. So we were able to get a new AC unit. I mean, unplanned expenses are never fun, but at least we were not totally dead in the water. So there's the community of you and your customers, but then there's also a community amongst the vendors. You see the same people every week, every week in, week out, and somebody in the very beginning that we were working with called us like carnies, like carnival people. Like, we come in with all of our stuff and set it all up and then break it all down and do this like once a week, and we all come together at that time, and we all go through like similar pains as growing businesses. So it's kind of nice to see the same faces, familiar faces every week, and talk about what are our challenges and what are you working on, and checking in, how's your family, and that kind of stuff is really nice. So there's 2 communities at a market, 3 maybe, like even amongst the customers. Maybe there are groups of people that go every weekend and meet at the farmers market. I know that when we were customers, we were always trying to bring our friends and make that kind of like a fun meeting spot, something different, something outside, enjoying the weather, enjoying locally made, unique things, unique goods and services. Yeah, it's really nice. And it's fun too, because like John and I have not been into that market for a while. We had one of our bakers working it for a while, then we got some new people that wanted to step in, and it's like we never even left. We remember the same faces, the same vendors. We get to pick up conversations like we weren't gone for 6 months. But anyway, we basically pack everything up into this truck like in the middle of the night, and then John wakes up at 3 in the morning and drives it and drops it off at every market location. And the timing is kind of hard, because when all the markets start at the same time, you have to get up at 3 in the morning, and then the other thing is like you're dropping off these loads and you don't always have somebody there to meet it. So we've had to also structure that our route in a way that we know where places we can drop it where there will be people, or there won't be people. Ideally, it would be great if we had like a fleet of vans, but that's not very cost effective. So we invested in this one big truck that could take all of our stuff with us. We just have to get up early and pray that things are okay. Some snacks that we hit along the way. We tried a bunch of different methods. So first we were using like cheapo crates from like Walmart and Target. Then we put those crates on top of like Metros, and then we got introduced to like the flatbread crates that stack. So we did those for a while. I know John met a girl in Washington who actually rides all her bread to the farmer's market on her bike. So she has these cool like wooden boxes that stack up, and she just puts those on her display. So really, like, you just have to find your own style. We found the example bread racks that you saw John wheeling in on Instagram. Somebody had posted, and they had ones that folded, and then when John's dad came here, he just like quickly whipped those up. So we're very fortunate to have him around to like easily at least build the prototypes. And those were a big game changer, because we can fit so much bread on those, and they're stacked vertically in a way that's not precarious. Because I don't know if you caught, but like when we were unloading at Phoenix, we were going through old parking lots and asphalt that has like dips and divots and cracks, and there have been situations before where we've either lost a load wheeling it to market, or in the very beginning. This truck is actually pretty stable. It's a box truck. So it provides a little bit of stability in the back, but when we had the trailer, everything was whipping around, and there were a few times that we like lost a few towers of bread, and that was like so devastating. And that's something to think about too, you know, there's so many processes along the way of just the bake where something could go wrong, and then the last piece of it, getting it from, you know, point A to point B where you're going to sell it, if something goes wrong in there, it's like your whole heart breaks. Because you've invested so much time already and like already overcome so many barriers. I would say those are the biggest challenges in transport. It's like finding a way how to secure it in a way that's going to work for you and your display, and then keeping those containers secure when you're driving it around. If I would start over, I mean, my preference has always been to have like a fleet of like 2 vans, 2 big or 2 smaller trucks that can go split, because we're in the East Valley, but we're also in the Central Valley, so it's a very long loop and it creates for a long day. When John was doing both the pickup route, or the drop-off route and the pickup route, he would start at 3 in the morning, finish by like 9, come back home by 9 if everything went well, and then take a small break and then head back out at 10:30 to go pick everything back up. And, you know, in the blazing heat, it's like not that fun. Every market has its own flavor, like its own thing. So Phoenix is great in that it supports a lot of independent farmers, and really kind of was when I was going to college, that was the first market that I ever found and, you know, was a customer of. It was like the hip place to be. It's downtown Phoenix. But then, like, you know, you go out to Gilbert and you have a totally different vibe. It's like a bunch more families, a lot of people willing to sit and get to know your story as opposed to just passing through or doing the cool thing. Mesa is kind of similar in that it's got its own little community, its own little like charm. It's nice that it's in a park and people can bring their kids and the kids can play. At the very beginning, they actually had live music, really good live music, and that was cool too. What's our other markets? Uptown, I did Uptown for a long time. I was there for at least a year. And that has another vibe, like they're a very big market, but you see the same people over and over again. It's like Phoenix is like you have a bunch of people passing tons, like the volume is great, but it's like people who are buying like a pastry to go or something small, whereas Uptown it's like you see the same people every week and they're buying loads and loads of bread and developing like a personal connection with you, and it's great. I mean, but now we've spent the 3 years doing markets and not sleeping and all that, so I've been really enjoying kind of being on backup per se, where we have people out there in the markets that are fresh and ready, and you know, that's maybe their way of changing it up for their schedules to go out into the community. So I've been enjoying just like supporting them and letting people kind of be the face, other people be the face of us for now. But this has especially been a crazy week because we had a few things happen this week that took us out of our normal flow. John's been ping-ponging around, so it's been an especially like tiring week. So it's nice to be like putting the cap on things and thinking about tomorrow when we get a little break, if we get a little break. John actually has to go back and do a little more work in the bakery today to finish up replacing the unit in our walk-in, but it's just kind of a nice little wind down. We have our longest standing member, Dylan, that works Saturday, Saturday, well, he does the pickup route and he does like the whole Saturday production. And, you know, it's nice to know that we have somebody who's been with us for a long time that we can trust, that so that when we get home, like, we're done, you know. It's a good feeling. I will say one thing for other bakers out there that are just starting. It's like, make sure that you bake around the lifestyle that you want. Sometimes that is congruent with, is already congruent with like making money and supporting yourself on that, and other times you might have to make sacrifices. But I feel like as long as you know what you're striving for and you give yourself, you like bake in time to recharge, you can kind of deal with those sacrifices. For us, I know that we didn't always do the best job because a lot of the time it was like John was just like running and he knew where he wanted to go, but it took a while for me to like insert my voice because he's so driven and so like he can see things that I cannot, or he's much more of a visionary where I'm more of like the person to execute. But I feel like now we're kind of finding our groove in that, you know, we find the things that are replenishing to us. Like, so despite the scorching weather, we've been trying to get outside, go hiking, go find like little nooks and crannies of, you know, our neighborhood that we can go explore. We've been going to the river. We went camping a couple weeks ago, so I think all that stuff has really helped us keep the fuel, or replenish the fuel to keep going, even during, you know, the slow season or during this hot weather and all the challenges that we've been facing. So basically we just wrap it all up. So we've already taken off our tablecloths. We'll wash those. We wash them every week. Oh gosh. Ah! Sometimes it gets windy, and that's why we have.
And I already took the weights off, and I hadn't started taking the tents down yet. So of course that's what happened.
Yeah, so we have these weights that we have to put down because sometimes we get those gusts of wind, and these guys like to fly. Yeah, I've seen like.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen a chain of like 6 tents blow. It's really scary. So I typically wait until.
I'll wait till the end now.
Yeah.
To take the weights off.
So that's, you know, inherent dangers.
Yeah.
So we basically just wrap up all of our tables, package all of our cloths, package all of our supplies. We have like 4 crates, bread crates that we use to keep all of our supplies in. So we have one with bags, one with our display. We have like wooden boards with a little sneeze guard. And then we've got one with administrative stuff, gloves, cash box, things like that. And is this your cell phone?
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And we still like don't have this process totally down yet, but and then we have, you know, baskets and accessories to make the table look pretty cute during display. There you go. At least this isn't in Phoenix, because if something falls on the ground in Phoenix, it's like over, because the asphalt.
Yeah, no,
we used to take
true.
the kids with us, and they were literally like just covered in dirt by the end of the day. You know, because kids like to like sit on the ground, and it was, those days were madness. These things are like impossible to do by yourself, so I highly recommend having a buddy.
Yes.
How did you fare this morning?
It actually went fine. I had to get help at one point to move it,
Oh yeah, after you'd opened it?
but I got it open and then I set the other one up fine. And I just kind of
Wiggle it closed. If anybody knows of a better way to do this, I would like to
Move
know.
all my belongings out of the middle. Thank you.
Oh, watch out. I don't want to spear you. Thanks, Luke. Okay, we're usually way more graceful than this.
I know, of course, this is when we're being filmed, you know?
So I think I had mentioned at the end of the day, if we have leftover products, we'll usually bring it back. But before we try to bring it back, we'll set it out on the table and share it with, you know, our fellow vendors that have been working all day in the heat with us, and have families to go home to as well. So, you know, so we get the whole sense of community. As soon as I feel a gust of wind, even if the weights are on, I'm like grabbing onto the tent. And it was one Wednesday in Uptown I was working. There's a produce vendor that has like 6 tents, and they're all strapped together, but not with weights.
Oh no!
And people were packing up, so they flew over our tent
Oh my god!
and hit somebody's car.
That's wild.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, like I was saying, we have our sneeze guards here. We've got our tablecloths, our bags and things, and then we have a general one where we keep our iPad. We do all of our sales transactions through Square point of sale right now, so we have some iPads that handle that. And then the valuables typically the staff will just bring back with them, so that we're not leaving that all out in the open. And then we typically just pack this all up, make it kind of small and condensed so that the truck can just pull up and we can load everything back in.